Thank you for coming to my channel, Compass Starlight. I'm going to do a weekend reading, see what kind of energies we have coming in for the weekend. What can we expect in our lives, in our encounters, as we move through the weekend. All of the cards were shuffled prior to being on camera. Let's see. This deck is the Starseed Tarot. We have the World. That is lovely. From the Archetype deck, this is the Mantegna Tarot. Oops. Splits today. From the Archetype deck, we have Saturn, card number 47. And this is the Starseed Oracle. What messages, Spirit, what would you like to show us? What do we need to know for the weekend? What can we expect? I hope you all have a very nice weekend. I'm not really sure what to expect for the weather where I am. Possibly a bit of rain and clouds, but it's alright. Had a few really nice days here this week. We have Heraeth, longing for home, homesick for the stars. I'm going to read that card first. For Heraeth, this card says, longing for home, homesick for the stars. Heraeth is a Welsh word that's difficult to translate, but it refers to a certain longing or homesickness, a yearning for a home or place to which we cannot return. This unexplainable, unshakable longing for home is common in star seeds and old souls. Perhaps you've had it since birth. For some, it's a distant memory of a planet, galaxy, or star system in the universe that their soul remembers and yearns to return to, a place that they may have experienced more than Earth. For others, it's a longing for the unity of Source, a remembering of interconnected oneness. This yearning can lead some starseeds to travel, searching all corners of the planet to find a physical place that feels more like home. For others, it can manifest as a need to find home in people, communities, and relationships. A journey to find somewhere they truly belong. If you resonate with this yearning for home, but don't really know where home is, you're being invited to remember that your soul chose to be on Earth. You're being called to fully commit to embodying your life. You're being reassured that you didn't come here alone, and that your soul consciously decided to experience what it's like to be a soul in a human body on this planet at this time. You're being called to anchor all of your presence, your personality, your soul, and your spirit in the here and now, to fully commit to living this life right now, to commit to putting 2 feet completely in. The Starseed Soul Inquiry asks, how can you commit more fully to your life? I like to take a more literal look at the cards and then take a more intuitive look at the cards. So there's definitely some intuitive messages that I'm getting with these cards here. But I do, like to read from this book when it comes to this deck. And that longing for the unity of Source, the inclination to travel to find home, when in truth, home is wherever we are. And I see this grand swirl of the cosmos represented here. And with that, there is sort of this grand circle of life here in card number 21, the world. The world is your oyster, and home is wherever you make it in the planet. So what do you need to do for yourself to feel settled and content wherever you are? And that's something that I identified when I was much younger. As a child, I was raised going to church, Sunday school, and I loved that I went to a very simple church. It was not over the top with decoration. It was about worship and communion. Communion being communing, spending time with the congregation. And I found that as I grew older, I met people of other religious beliefs, some of whom were more devout than others, and those I found to be religiously devout were inclined to go to church or temple, go to church every Sunday, go to temple every week, sometimes spending a few different days within the confines of the spiritual center. And that's something that I never completely understood, because I was also raised to say your prayers before going to bed, and that is something we all can do. It's basically giving thanks for the day that we've had, for the people that we have passed time with, the people that we love, giving thanks and asking for protection for ourselves, for those we love, and for our path. But when you say your goodnight prayers, you are usually doing so from home or your bedside, and you're not within the walls of a church or temple when you do that. And there are several times a day when people bow to their knees and pray to Allah, regardless of where they are. When you feel that calling to Source or to your God, when you feel that calling to connect in prayer, you do that wherever you are, and it does not have to be within the confines of a church or temple or holy place as you see it. And therefore, I always found it to be some question of perhaps irony that people felt so compelled to go to this house of worship in order to give prayer and connect. And although it's great and wonderful to commune with a congregation, let it not be lost that the temple of your God is wherever you are. That if there is a divine creator, that divine creator has created everything around you, and therefore it is all sacred, it is all holy, and you can offer thanks, appreciation, gratitude, prayer, ask for protection, and so forth, wherever you are in the world. And in the same vein, this longing for home asks us to take a different perspective and see home wherever we are, in that we could be content within ourselves and feel that comfort. The world is your oyster. At times, the card, the world, is a symbol of completion, a symbol of cyclical events. And Saturn here generally represents the passing of time. And Saturn is often depicted as this sage, this old man, father time with the wisdom of experience, from experiencing these cycles time after time after time after time. And I think that we're being called to recognize that cycles are ending and new cycles are beginning, and where is our place within that cycle, and what is our role in making those changes for those cycles to push forward, to continue forward, or how are we responsible for ending different cycles? And our place within those cycles, as time rolls on, as the hands of time wind around the clock and we make our passage through life, where are our responsibilities? What place do we have in these cycles? What impact do we have on these cycles of life? How do we make the changes in these cycles? How do we end a cycle and begin a new one? Where do we stand in the world? We have the world before us. We have the world is your oyster. And what does that really mean? It means that you have access to endless support, access to endless opportunity, access to fiery initiation energy to start new cycles, as well as the power to complete old cycles and put an end to things that you have experienced. Take the wisdom from those experiences and to close out cycles. The card Saturn, this archetype, represents isolation. Always think before acting. It's a time for contemplation about your role in the world, in the cycle, your role in taking control over the power of events in your life, taking control over your direction, taking control over your prosperity, taking control of your direction and the trajectory of your life. If you are not comfortable and you have a longing, find the source of that longing. What is it you feel that you're missing? And see if you can find a way to fulfill that void from within. What is it within yourself that you need to heal so that you can feel at home and at peace wherever you are? How can you love yourself better so that you don't have a longing for something outside of yourself? Because once you feel complete and healed and resolve that feeling of longing, that completeness is like that whole circle, and you can just roll on through life and experience new experiences, which is the opportunity of the oyster, right? The world is your oyster. That means that opportunity is within your hands. You have control over that. And when you feel complete within yourself, you can reflect back to the world around you, and it would be a really beautiful exchange of abundance and opportunity. And what you give in positive energy, in happiness, in joy, out into the world as it reflects back to you, brightens other people, brightens other people's days, uplifts other people. helps to raise their vibration. You have the wisdom within you from the passage of time to recognize what within you may need to be healed. You have the wisdom within you from the passage of time to recognize the cycles of life and how we end and begin new cycles. With maturity, you can look back and reflect on what has transpired and how you can move forward, making things better, making things more, making more contentment in your life, making things brighter, making better choices for yourself. Card 21, the world, is a marker of completion. It's a completion of investment, whether that's work or that's raising your child into adulthood. It really could be anything in particular. This is the general message, a message of completion, and it's time to reap your rewards for having done the work, having invested the time. Now is a time to evaluate how your cycle has gone, the cycle that you are closing out, the cycle that you're completing. What has your role been? How did you manage to invest your effort and your time in that cycle? And what was the result? What is the karmic balance after having invested in that cycle now that it is closing out, before you step into your next cycle? And the two may be sort of, if you look at a cycle as being a circle, you may have two circles, one rolling out and one rolling in at the same time. As you close one cycle out, a new one begins. So what can you take from the cycle that you are closing out and bring forward into the cycle that you are starting now? What wisdom have you learned, and what lessons would you like to take forward with you as you embark on these new opportunities, these new offerings of abundance? This is a time of reflection, but it's also a time to consider but it's also a time to consider what within you may still need to be healed. Those are the messages I'm getting for the weekend. I'm interested to know if the message resonates with you. I apologize if you can hear the noise in the background. That's one of the kitties playing. Anyhow, thank you for coming to Compass Starlight, and I hope this message resonated with you. And I hope you have a wonderful weekend and feel content as you move through your days and find things to do and engage with your world.